Our first story takes place in a historic hotel in downtown Los Angeles. The hotel, known for its old-world charm and grandeur, was also infamous for its haunted reputation. Room 303 in particular was rumored to be cursed. Guests who stayed in that room often reported strange occurrences, and some even claimed to have seen a ghostly. Sam and Colby, popular paranormal investigators on YouTube, decided to spend the night in room 303 to film an episode for their horror podcast. They were no strangers to spooky locations, but nothing could prepare them for what they were about to experience. As soon as they checked into the room, they felt an overwhelming sense of unease. The air was cold and the lights flickered intermittently. They set up their cameras and began their investigation, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. The night started quietly, but as the clock struck midnight, things took a terrifying turn. They heard faint whispers and the sound of footsteps pacing the hallway outside their room. Sam opened the door to find no one there, but the footsteps continued. Suddenly the temperature dropped further, and a ghostly figure appeared at the foot of their bed. It was a woman in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow and her face twisted in anguish. She reached out to them, her fingers cold and ghostly. Paralyzed with fear, Sam and Colby could only watch as the apparition moved closer. The room filled with an oppressive presence, and they heard a voice whisper, "Leave this place." Desperate to escape. The next morning, they reviewed the footage and saw the ghostly figure clearly on camera. The experience left them shaken, and they vowed never to return to room 303. The hotel management was skeptical, but the story of the haunted room spread, attracting thrill-seekers and paranormal enthusiasts. However, the haunted room's dark history continued to haunt the hotel. Guests who dared to stay in room 303 reported similar encounters, and the ghostly figure became a chilling reminder of the hotel's sinister past. The room remains a testament to the mysteries that lurk in the shadows, waiting for their next unsuspecting victim. 1 year later, a new guest, intrigued by the stories, booked room 303. He was an avid fan of horror and the supernatural, eager to experience the haunted room himself. Armed with an array of high-tech ghost hunting equipment, he entered the room with confidence. The night began as expected, with the usual cold spots and flickering lights. But as he settled into bed, he heard the faint sound of a music box playing a haunting melody. The sound seemed to come from within the room. Following the sound, he discovered a hidden compartment behind a loose panel in the wall. Inside was an old, dust-covered music box. As he opened it, the ghostly figure of the woman appeared, her face contorted in sorrow. The melody grew louder and the room began to shake. The guest tried to close the music box, but his hands passed through it as if it were an illusion. The woman's ghost reached out to him, her touch freezing his skin. Desperate to escape, he fled the room, leaving all his equipment behind. The hotel staff found him the next morning, shivering and incoherent, unable to explain what had happened. The footage from his cameras revealed the terrifying encounter, the music box, and the ghostly figure. The hidden compartment was sealed, but the haunting of room 303 continued, a chilling reminder of the unresolved spirits trapped within its walls. Our second story is set in a luxurious hotel in New York City, a place where the rich and famous often stayed. Emma, a young businesswoman, checked into the hotel for a week-long conference. She was excited to stay in such a prestigious location, but her excitement quickly turned into a nightmare. On her second night, Emma received a strange text message from an unknown number. The message simply read, "I'm watching you." She dismissed it as a prank and went about her evening. However, the next day she noticed things out of place in her room. Her belongings were moved, and she found a note on her pillow that said, "Be prepared." Frightened, Emma reported the incidents to the hotel management, but they assured her that the security was tight and there was nothing to worry about. That night, she heard a soft tapping on her window, even though her room was on the 20th floor. She pulled back the curtains to see a figure standing on the balcony, staring at her. She screamed and called hotel security, But when they arrived, the figure was gone. They checked the security footage and saw a shadowy figure lurking outside her room, but they couldn't identify who it was. Emma was moved to a different room, but the sense of dread followed her. The stalker's messages continued, each one more sinister than the last. She felt like she was being watched constantly, and her anxiety grew. One night, she woke up to find the stalker standing at the foot of her bed, his face obscured by a hood. He whispered, "You can't escape me," before disappearing into the darkness. Desperate and terrified, Emma decided to leave the hotel. As she packed her bags, she found a final note that read, "I'll always find you." She checked out and moved to a different hotel, but the sense of being watched never left her. Emma's experience became a chilling tale among the hotel's staff and guests. The identity of the stalker was never discovered, and the hotel installed additional security measures. However, the fear and paranoia that Emma felt continued to haunt her, a dark reminder of the dangers that can hide in plain sight. Months later, Emma tried to move on with her life, but the trauma lingered. But one evening, she received a package at her new apartment. Inside was a small, innocuous trinket, a hotel keycard from the room she had stayed in. Panicking, she called the police, but there was no evidence of foul play. The keycard was just a simple, everyday object, yet it felt like a sinister reminder. Emma realized that the stalker was still out there, watching and waiting. Her friends urged her to take a break, to go somewhere safe and secluded. Emma decided to stay with her family in a remote cabin, far from the city. For a while it seemed like the perfect escape, and she finally began to feel at ease. One night, however, she woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing. The message read, "Found you." Her heart raced as she looked around the dark cabin, feeling the oppressive presence of her unseen tormentor. The next morning, Emma's family found her belongings packed and her car gone. They searched the surrounding woods but found no trace of her. Emma had vanished, leaving behind only the chilling story of her relentless stalker. The luxurious hotel in New York became known for its dark tale, a warning to guests about the unseen dangers that could follow them home. Emma's disappearance remains a mystery, a haunting reminder of the lengths to which a stalker can go and the fear that can linger long after the initial terror has passed. Our final story takes place in a historic hotel in New Orleans, a city known for its rich history and supernatural legends. The hotel boasted a luxurious suite that had hosted many famous guests over the years. However, it was also known for its dark past. The suite was believed to be cursed. Mark and Lisa, a young couple on their honeymoon, decided to stay in the suite, unaware of its sinister reputation. The room was opulently decorated, with antique furniture and a breathtaking view of the city. They were excited to spend their first night as a married couple in such a beautiful setting. As they settled in, they noticed a strange, cold draft in the room. They dismissed it as an old building's quirk and went to bed. In the middle of the night, Lisa woke up to the sound of soft crying. She looked around the room but saw nothing. The crying grew louder, and she felt a cold hand touch her shoulder. Terrified, she woke Mark, and they both saw the ghostly figure of a woman standing by the window. Her eyes were filled with sorrow, and she seemed to be weeping. The couple tried to leave the room, but the door wouldn't budge. The ghostly woman turned to them and whispered, "You must leave." The next morning, they told the hotel staff about their experience. The staff looked concerned and explained the room's dark history. Many years ago, a woman had died tragically in the suite, and her spirit was said to haunt the room, seeking peace. Despite the warning, Mark and Lisa decided to stay another night, hoping it was just a bad dream. However, the paranormal activity intensified. Objects moved on their own, and the temperature dropped drastically. They heard whispers and saw shadowy figures in the corners of the room. Desperate to escape, they tried to leave the suite again, but the door remained locked. The ghostly woman appeared once more, her face twisted in anguish. She screamed, "Leave this place!" and the room shook violently. In a final act of terror, the windows shattered and the couple was thrown to the floor. They managed to escape the suite and demanded to be moved to a different room. The hotel complied, but the fear and trauma lingered. The couple cut their honeymoon short and left the city, vowing never to return. The cursed suite remained a chilling legend, with many guests reporting similar encounters. The hotel tried to downplay the stories, but the tales of the ghostly woman and the cursed room persisted. The suite stands as a dark reminder of the hotel's haunted past, a place where the supernatural and the real world collide in terrifying ways. Years later, a paranormal investigation team decided to film an episode in the cursed suite, hoping to capture evidence of the haunting. They brought advanced equipment and set up cameras around the room, eager to document any supernatural activity. The night began with eerie noises, the sound of footsteps, whispering voices, and the occasional cold draft. As midnight approached, the equipment started to malfunction. Cameras turned off on their own, and temperature sensors went haywire. Suddenly, one of the team members, Jake Weber, felt a cold hand grip his arm. The ghostly woman appeared before him, her eyes filled with sorrow and rage. She whispered, "You must leave," and the room filled with an overwhelming sense of dread. The team tried to communicate. The ghostly woman pointed to an old, tattered diary hidden in the dresser. The diary belonged to her, revealing her tragic story of love and betrayal. Reading the diary, the team learned that the woman had been a maid who fell in love with a wealthy guest. When their affair was discovered, she was dismissed and shamed, leading to her tragic death in the suite. Her spirit remained, seeking closure and justice. The team performed a ritual to help the spirit find peace, hoping to end the haunting. The ghostly woman smiled sadly and whispered, "Thank you," before fading away. The room felt lighter, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The next morning, the team reviewed their footage and found clear evidence of the haunting. The hotel staff was grateful, hoping the spirit had finally found peace. However, the legend of the cursed suite continued to draw curious guests and paranormal enthusiasts. Despite the ritual, the cursed suite retained an eerie presence. Guests reported feeling watched, hearing faint whispers, and experiencing cold drafts. The suite remains a testament to the unresolved spirits trapped within its walls, a place where the past and present intersect in haunting ways. These true hotel horror stories remind us that even the most luxurious and beautiful places can hide dark secrets. Whether it's haunted rooms, relentless stalkers, or cursed suites, the horror can manifest in many forms. Always be prepared, trust your instincts, and remember that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that actually happen.